lost significant weight. Which raises the question, did they have another source of food?
There's no way to maintain their body weight with just fish and coconuts. They had to have found some other source of food.
The human body contains approximately 100,000 calories. And though some are convinced this is the central lie the six are covering, that they consumed the remains of the other three survivors, it does not explain the other significant inconsistencies in these photos.
If someone was out on a raft or in open ocean without any shelter, they would be extremely sunburned. The skin blisters first, it turns super red, and as it heals, then it starts to peel and it sheets off. The pictures that I saw of them walking out of the ocean did not show skin damage and the effects of the sun.
Another obvious physical inconsistency is the three men's hair growth.
Now, keep in mind that when someone is starving and they're wasting, hair growth would slow. And they might even suffer hair loss, and maybe have patches of hair missing, but from a beard, that was probably somewhat substantial, big beard. But these guys, they look, like they've had some kind of, ability to shave their skin.
It is also evident that Jack Shepherd's hair was cut during the 3 months in question. When you compare these images taken on the day he boarded the airplane with these on the day he was rescued, the length of his hair appears to be unchanged. The last physical inconsistency in these photos, one that simply has no explanation, is how the Oceanic Six were able to change their clothes. All of which raises the question, where could the Oceanic Six have been for 3.5 months where they could eat a high-caloric diet, stay out of the sun, shave, get their hair cut, and get a new set of clothes? Probably the most glaring point of contention in the official story is the birth of Aaron Austin on the island. Not because Kate Austin could not have given birth on the island, but because she was never pregnant in the first place. According to the official story, Austin had to have been 6 months pregnant at the time of the crash. The following is a radio interview with Security Officer Shiana Mitchell 2 days after the Oceanic Six press conference.
All right, Shiana, you say you met Kate Austin on September 21st, 2004, the night before the crash. Is this correct?
Yeah, that's right. She was in the custody of a U.S. Marshal, and he needed some place to hold her for the night, so we just admitted her to the airport jail.
Okay, were you in a position to see whether or not she was pregnant?
Well, yeah. I was the one that admitted her, and seeing I was the only female on duty, I gave her the routine exam.
And is there any way, shape, or form, in your honest estimation, that she could have been 6 months pregnant at the time?
Nah, I've got 3 kids myself, and I know what happens to the body, and this bird was not pregnant at all, no.
1 month later, Mitchell released an official statement to the press, mysteriously recanting her story, claiming she is not a qualified medical person and therefore unable to determine whether or not Kate Austin was 6 months pregnant.
A fetus at 6 months is at least a pound and a half, and probably about this large. So a fetus is fully formed at 6 months. It's just waiting to mature for delivery. And a baby this large, with the large amount of amniotic fluid, is going to enlarge the uterus. So a woman who's 6 months pregnant has a significant enlargement of her abdomen. The only time a woman could be pregnant with a baby this large and not be showing is if she were obese. Kate Austin could have been pregnant, but Kate Austin was not 6 months pregnant. These ladies are 6 months pregnant. Their breasts are enlarged. They're preparing for lactation to feed the baby. The uterus is enlarged, which makes a woman look like she's carrying a honeydew melon. This is what a lady looks like when she's 6 months pregnant.
So if Kate Austin was not pregnant, where did Aaron come from? It's clear he had not yet been born on the day of the crash, and there is no official record of another pregnant woman being on board. Danny Barnes was passing through the Sydney International Airport on September 22, 2004, and met one of the other passengers of Flight 815 in an airport cafe.
I was going into the coffee shop to get tea, actually, to have a cup of tea, and I noticed that there was a girl, pregnant girl, talking to a pilot, and she was pretty pregnant. I was 7 weeks pregnant at the time, and just really felt like, I don't know, I could chat with her and see if she had some good advice. Anyway, so I approached her after the pilot left, and we just chatted about where she was going. You know, I know for a fact it was Flight 815. She told me where she was going, to LA. So I just sort of said I'm at the beginning. You know, she gave me all the scoop about, you know, what it's like. And she was a single mum too, and so was I. So we just really, really connected. Her name was Claire. I know for a fact that it was Flight 815. She told me that, so...
If Claire is Aaron's mother, it would explain why he appears older than was reported at the Oceanic news conference.
That baby is a lot larger and more developed than a 5-week baby. That baby looks like it's at least 2 months because of the size, the motor development, the alertness. That baby was not a 5-week baby.
But if Claire is actually Aaron's mother, when and where did she give birth to him? And more importantly, where is she now? If Kate Austin is not Aaron's mother, if the Oceanic 6 were not stranded on a deserted island for 108 days, if they did not float on ocean currents to an island east of the crash site, if the wreckage on the bottom of the Sunda Trench is not an airline crash, and the bodies are not the crew and passengers of Flight 815, then what happened to Oceanic Airlines Flight 815 and the other passengers and crew? In the days following the news conference, many believed Oceanic Airlines was complicit in the cover-up. The following interview is with a high-ranking employee of Oceanic Airlines who agreed to speak unofficially and only on condition of anonymity.
Well, I would say that that's an absolute joke. I mean, what would we gain from bribing the Oceanic 6? It's all negative publicity. There's no such thing as a good crash in the airline business. And for anybody to suggest that we staged this is out of their mind. They're not in touch with reality. That's not how the business works.
To piece together a clearer picture of who is behind the Oceanic 6's cover-up, we must reconstruct events based on the evidence we now have. Here are the facts. On September 22, 2004, Oceanic Flight 815 left from Sydney, Australia, headed for Los Angeles, California. Approximately 6 hours into the flight, Flight 815 encountered radio problems, and all contact with the plane was lost. At some point during the next few hours, 5 confirmed passengers and possibly a 6th who was pregnant with Aaron Austin got off the plane. Seeing as the plane did not crash into the Indian Ocean as reported, it had to have been diverted to a secret location where it landed and the passengers were removed. The fate of the aircraft and the remaining passengers is still unknown. For 108 days, the Oceanic 6 had access to shelter, unlimited food, personal grooming supplies, and a change of clothes. Aaron Austin was born during this time. Over 2 months after the crash, the staged wreckage of Flight 815 was discovered by the Christian 1. In January 2005, the Oceanic 6 paddled ashore on Sumba Island, where they were rescued. Whoever is behind this colossal hoax had to have had unimaginable financial backing and the cooperation of the highest levels of power. A level of power that could only point to the United States federal government, the United Nations, or an unknown organization with unparalleled international reach. The connection between the Oceanic 6 and whoever is behind the lie remains unclear. Why was the existence of survivors added to the fabricated story in the first place? Why were these 6 chosen? Is one or all of them linked to whoever is behind the hoax? Initially, it seemed their participation in the cover-up was being paid for by enormous undisclosed settlements. Kate Austin also received a notoriously light sentence for murder and armed robbery. Sun Quan became a controlling partner in her father's company, Pac Heavy Industries, which has been linked to organized crime for years. But in the years since the press conference, the Oceanic 6 had been surrounded by nothing but tragedy and erratic behavior. Sayid Jarrah's wife, Nadia, was killed in October of 2005. Hugo Reyes was readmitted to the Santa Rosa Mental Health Institute, after a high-speed chase with the LAPD, and Jack Shepard's life has been plagued by drug and alcohol abuse and increasing isolation, threatening to end his career as a renowned spinal surgeon. What used to seem apparent, that money and privilege were buying their silence, now seems like something much different. The Oceanic Six now seem to be motivated by something much deeper. Fear. But fear of what? Or whom?